Man, I have chills. Literally chills and goosebumps. Like before I even got on the show, this is real talk here. I literally started getting anxious about doing this show. That's how you know that the passion is still there for covering college football. We are ready to rock and roll with our Week 2 recap here for Pigskin Frenzy. This show has gotten... it's amazing, what this show has become, and I'm so thankful for everybody tuning in and listening. 5,300 listeners and counting, about to be at 5,400 listeners and counting. Let's keep stacking. I'm pumped. Week 2 recap here on Pigskin Frenzy. We also got our Sad Violin moment. We have it on hand, and we're gonna show it during our Week 2 recap. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, or listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram, at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow up the pages there. We also have the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. A lot of content for college football. If you follow at Pigskin_Frenzy on X and Instagram. A lot of content from Pigskin Frenzy. A lot of content from just me in general. I was talking about NFL football the other day as well, just for fun. Just follow me on there, man. Well, I want to engage with you guys and talk football. Ladies and gentlemen, we're rocking and rolling with Pigskin Frenzy. Week 2 was a doozy. And I say a doozy because when you watch the early window, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, well, Week 2 is going to be kind of a dud, right? A lot of blowouts were happening, a lot of scores. You had Florida State dropping 70. You had Texas Tech 80 for Florida State, rather. Not even 70, 80 points for Florida State. 80 points. Going from 2-10 last year where Florida State was at to now is beyond me. 80 points. And then you had Texas Tech dropping 48 points. You had Minnesota dropping 60 plus on Northwestern State. It was a lot of blowouts. And then the afternoon window rolled around, and then I look and you see Clemson in the first half trailing Troy. They ended up bouncing back and winning the ball game, but trailing Troy, they started off really, really slow, and you're thinking, okay, Sad Violin moment can go there as well. The blowouts to Clemson and Troy, and then you had an exciting matchup between Oklahoma and Michigan, and then you had a big upset in the swamp that we're going to get to here in a little bit. And you're probably thinking, okay, where is this going? You'll see when the Sad Violin moment hits, and I will tell you what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to rock and roll. Guys, 5,300 listeners and counting, 5,300 listeners plus and counting on all platforms. A big thank you for just tuning in each and every Tuesday and Thursday, and shout out to you guys for making Pigskin Frenzy possible and making me possible. Not only that, most importantly, I wouldn't be here without the Lord, without our Lord and Savior Jesus. I wouldn't be here without the Lord. We give him all the praise, and we just thank him, and we are so blessed by Jesus to be doing this show. And if you want to come to know Jesus, X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. I can talk to you about that as well, because knowing the Lord and following the Lord's plan for your life is the best thing you can ever do. It's the best decision you can ever make. Praise Jesus, and we give him all the praise for Pigskin Frenzy and being in college football media. We shout him out, and we proclaim him across all platforms and all shows. Guys, let's kick it off. Let's just start with Week 2 and our Week 2 recaps for Pigskin Frenzy, because we have a very special week ahead of Pigskin Frenzy leading up to kickoff of Week 3. Let's kick it off with Oklahoma and Michigan. And the thing is, you're going to probably think, dude, you really touched a little bit shorter on that than advertised. This is the game of the week. I get that, and I understand. But the thing is, I don't really have a whole lot to say when it comes to Michigan and or OU. They're both good, and they both came into this game just, energized, right? And Oklahoma came into this game energized. But you're going to be surprised on some of my takes, I think, with this ball game. But let's just rock and roll. Oklahoma and Michigan. I picked OU to win. I shout out to Jackson Groff on all platforms from the Groff Show and the volumes 3 and Out with John Middlecoff. I had him on as our Week 2 guest picker, and we picked this game, and we both called it. We both called it. We said Oklahoma was going to win this ball game, and they're going to cover. And they certainly did cover. They covered by more than 5.5 points. Oklahoma wins the ball game. Final score of this game was Oklahoma 24, Michigan 13. Oklahoma 24, Michigan 13. Oklahoma. Let me go and tell you something about Oklahoma, man. Oklahoma are a bunch of dogs. Mateer is money. If you've seen me on X and Instagram, on my Bedtime College Football Talk, trademark, by the way, that is mine. If you see me on my Bedtime College Football Talk talking about this game, you're going to think you're hyping up both teams. Michigan lost. What are you talking about? We're going to get to Michigan in a minute. But I was hyping up Oklahoma. Money. They used him perfect in those design run plays. He threw the ball well. Deion Burks was an animal. I like Deion Burks. Deion Burks had, 101 yards, 1 touchdown, 14.4 per reception on average in 7 receptions. An absolute beast. He had 3 total. John Mateer had 3 total touchdowns, 270 yards passing, 70 yards on the ground with 19 carries. And he ran the ball a lot and had some good design runs. He did make some mistakes with the sidearms and the turn. I don't really like John Mateer using the sidearm throw. That's just me. I think it's going to lead to more problems and more turnovers. Let's just save the theatrics a little bit and cut back on that if you're John Mateer. And a lot of people are going to say in Norman, to me, and Oklahoma fans are going to sit there and say, dude, what are you talking about? He's awesome. He's money. He's John Mateer. I get it. He's a beast, man. He's a great quarterback, and he's going to be a problem for a lot of defenses. But let me go on and say this. I think the theatrics and listen, dude, if you can't make those sidearm throws, don't do it. You know what I mean? Don't even attempt it. If you keep messing up on the throws, on the sidearm throws and the theatric throws, sort of like what Patrick Mahomes does in the NFL, dude, if you can't make those throws, then don't do it. You know what I mean? Just don't do it. There's no place for it because it's going to cause turnovers, and it's going to be a lot worse for your team overall if you make those sort of throws and you just can't do it. So just cool it on the theatrics. Other than that, John Mateer's money, man. He's a really good leader for this team. He takes control of that offense. You know the aura of that offense when Mateer's just in command of that offense and when they're driving and going down the field. You just know. And Oklahoma had that presence on offense again. So Oklahoma did really, really good. But how about that defense, man? That defense was ruthless, dude. And when I say ruthless, I mean ruthless. Brent Venables calling the plays for this defense. Man, Oklahoma looks solid on defense. I was more surprised about that defense than Mateer. And a lot of people are going to say, dude, John Mateer had commanded that offense. I understand. That offense was great. Not saying that. I think the defense played better, and I think the defense is what really won in that ball game. The defense was all over the field. Now, did Justice Haynes break out? Justice Haynes break out one for Michigan? Yeah, he did. Sure. But OU's defense majority of the night was all over Chip Lindsey and Michigan's offense. They were all over Underwood at quarterback. And that's not me saying anything about Michigan. I just think Oklahoma's defense is really solid. They played with an aggression. They played physical up front. And they blew up a lot of plays that Michigan was trying to cook up on offense, and they blew it up quick. They're ruthless. Brent Venables calling plays for this defense. He knows what he's doing. And the thing is, I posted this on X as well. When they were going into half and they were, I think it was Holly Rowe, was on the sideline. Holly Rowe was interviewing him and talking to him, talking to Brent Venables. You saw that smile on Brent Venables' face. Brent Venables had a smile on his face after what transpired defensively for this team, and he knows what he's doing. That's ruthless, man. That is cold-blooded what Brent Venables is doing on the sideline, just smiling, knowing, hey, I just attacked that offense, and I was out physicaling that offense. It's really demoralizing a little bit if you're the other team, knowing that's going down. Oklahoma's defense is solid. Oklahoma's a really good team. Now, I think their next big test coming up is in Norman. It's in Auburn, and that's next week. That is week 4, I believe, for Oklahoma. And let me just say this. Oklahoma, week 4, against Auburn is going to be a doozy. A 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 kick for Oklahoma and Auburn, and that's going to be a very, very fun game in week 4. If they're both undefeated, both ranked going into Norman on week 4, that could be a potential Pigskin Frenzy game. I'm just going to sit there and say that now because Jackson Arnold with his former team, Oklahoma, John Mateer, how they control that offense now. It's going to be a very, very fun game to watch in Norman in week 4. 24-13 was the final score. Oklahoma looks really, really good. Let's talk about Michigan for a little bit, and then we will move on. But Michigan, you're going to sit there and think, I'm crazy for saying this. Oh, Michigan didn't look good. I think Michigan just got outplayed and just got played by a better team this year. I think Oklahoma's a better team this year, right? This year, to me, Oklahoma seems like the better football team. Home game, raucous crowd to me, and I said this on this past Thursday with Jackson Groff. I said that Michigan, and I was leaning towards Michigan, but I just cannot get over the fact that the defense is stout, but not only that, Bryce Underwood's making his second career start. Total. Not just on the road or in his against an SEC team. Overall, this was his second career start in college football. And the thing is, he made some good plays. As a freshman, he made some great plays. I'm not going to sit there and say he played phenomenal, but he made some good decisions. He was 142 yards. He was 9 for 24. Stat line didn't look good, but he did show some promise that, hey, once I develop more as a quarterback in the Big Ten and in college football, I can go on the road against anybody and I can play them and I could potentially beat a team on the road. I believe that. I think Bryce Underwood can be the truth one day. And everyone's going to sit there and say, dude, did you see the game? I did watch the game. I was watching the game. Yeah, live. I saw it. I just think that Bryce Underwood has got a shot at breaking out and becoming one of the future of college football in the quarterback department in terms of being one of the best entering a season, right? I think that Bryce Underwood is going to be the truth. Just give him time and let him develop more. Justin Haynes played really, really good. 125 yards, 19 carries, and a touchdown. Jordan Marshall had 28 yards, 9 carries. The running game got going a little bit with Justin Haynes. I mean, obviously 125 yards, but overall, it just couldn't get a lot going offensively with throwing the ball just because of that defense blowing up a lot of plays. That defense for Oklahoma was really good against Michigan's offense. They got out-physicaled, yes, and I think that, to me, it was just Bryce Underwood's second career road start that kind of led them, okay, like this is not going to work for us. We're going to take a loss on this one because it's just the command of the offense. The offense didn't really move and gelled as well besides Justice Haynes running the football. It's literally not going to work. It's literally one of those games where it's like, okay, I can't get Underwood going. I can run the ball a little bit, but on some plays, the Oklahoma defense is going to blow that up too. So it's like, what are we going to do? Literally, Michigan had a what are we going to do moment here. We just got to eat a loss. And that's okay because Oklahoma's a really good team this year. Michigan will bounce back. They'll learn from it. And I believe that Bryce Underwood will be ready and more prepared in the next road contest or down the road. I'm not worried about Underwood. I'm not worried about this offense. I think they're going to be fine. I think Michigan's going to be fine. I just think that Michigan just had a tough time in a tough environment with a team that was hyped up and ready to play and very talented this year in the Oklahoma Sooners. So, final score of this game was Oklahoma 24, Michigan 13. Oklahoma 2-0, Michigan's 1-1. Oklahoma, they have Temple this week, I believe. This is coming up Saturday, I believe. They have Temple at at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Michigan, this Saturday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, has Central Michigan at home. So they could probably go to 2-1. Oklahoma should go to 3-0 heading into their game against Auburn in week 4. That was the Oklahoma-Michigan recap. Let's move on to the other game that I got, the other two games that I got right. Let's talk about Illinois and Duke really quick. Because Illinois and Duke Illinois was a 2.5-point favorite. Well, Illinois beat them by 26. Final score was Illinois 45, Duke 19. I said Illinois was going to win this ball game. And yeah, they did win this ball game. But here's the problem. Illinois didn't really run the ball. So I didn't do any circle moments for the past week, right? Last week, recapping week 1. I didn't do any circle moments for the Oklahoma-Michigan game just a minute ago. I probably should start back doing my circle moments. So we were going to do a circle moment in a minute for the first time this season, and then I need to start doing more of these circle moments. So let's talk about this. Circle moment for Illinois was Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier pins out. Circle moment right there. We're circling it. Luke Altmaier, 3 touchdowns, 296 yards, 22 for 31. Altmaier played really good in the second half, and he showed and displayed like, okay, I'm gonna just put the team on our back in the second half, and they really did that. I think a lot of it was Duke handing them the win as well, though. If you want to talk about the running game couldn't get going in the first half, but in the second half, finally got going. Caden Fegan, 48 yards, 17 carries, and a touchdown. We had Khalil Valentine, 6 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown. We also had Hank Beatty, wide out. He had a 25-yard rushing touchdown as well. And obviously, we had Luke Altmaier throwing for 3 touchdowns, 296 yards. Illinois on defense played really, really well as well. They played physical up front and in the second half at least. But I think Duke really got to them in the first half. I think there's some things they need to clean up, obviously, if you're talking about Illinois. I think they started off really, really slow. I think the penalties they need to minimize. I mean, 7 penalties for 51 yards. That's a circle moment. I think they need to clean up those penalties. They need to start off a little bit more hot and more physical up front, and I think they started off really, really slow, at least in my opinion, in this ball game. Now, a lot of it was Duke just getting manhandled up front in the second half, and Duke just handed them that game. Illinois played okay. I think Illinois has a shot at getting better, and I think Illinois will compete. Illinois is number 9 in the nation right now. They're 2-0, number 9 in the nation. I am high on the Illini still. I think they should start off a little bit better and a lot more hot, but overall, Illinois is going to be a fun team and a unique team to watch. Are they flashy when they move the ball down the field? No, they're not like a finesse type offense. They're more of a pro style, type, slow burn type offense. But it does demoralize you a little bit if you're a team playing Illinois. Really, I think the Illini is going to be really solid for this year. It's only week 2. They started off a little bit slow, but they ended up going back on track in the second half, and they dominated them in the second half. Duke had no idea what they were doing in the second half. We're going to get to Duke here in a little bit, but Illinois gets the win, 45-19, and a 26-point win for them. 123 rushing yards total after the first half. They only had like -1 rushing yard in the second half. It was rough. They couldn't run the ball at all in the first half. But then they came out, cleaned that up, and adjusted quickly, and they got the win. I really liked how Illinois adjusted. I really did. I liked how the Illini adjusted. That is what makes me think and believe in the Illini. Okay, if it's not working, what are we going to do to adjust and try to get the win and try to come back and get the win and try to get this thing going and get this thing moving? And Illinois adjusted quick, found some answers, and got the win. They tried and they worked hard and adjusted. And that's what I like about this Illinois team. They adjust, they rebound, and they keep on trucking along. So watch out for the Illini. If the playoffs were today, Illinois would be in it. So watch out for the Fighting Illini in Illinois up in Champaign. 45-19 was the final score. Let's talk about Duke really quick. You could say Duke was a Sad Violin moment, but I'm not giving in the Sad Violin treatment at all. But we will give them some circle moments here. Let's talk about some circle moments because there's plenty of circle moments. Circle moment on what went right. I think Darian Mensah went right. I think Darian Mensah is a solid quarterback for them. He played well in the first half. Didn't play as good in the second half as he did in the first half, but he did make some good throws. There's a lot of throws where it did lead into a turnover, but at the same time, when you look at, there was one interception by Darian Mensah, but here's the deal. I think the throw was there, but that interception was more on the defense than it was on the offense. I think the throw was there, but the defense just snagged it out of the air because Illinois' defense is a lot better than what most people expected him to be. I think Darian Mensah is a really good quarterback. He's going to make some good throws. He's going to make some good decisions. And he's going to develop for the Duke Blue Devils. Now, let's talk about that's a big positive circle moment for this team. Let's talk about some of the things that went right. 7.0, 7 yards per play on average. That's a circle moment right there. Let's circle that. 7 yards per play. Good. That's chunks, right? And if Duke can keep on relying on that, that is really, really solid. But let's talk about the negative circle moments. And I think they need to clean it up before they get better and deeper into ACC play. 5 turnovers in this ball game. Huge circle moment because the game was close until the 5 turnovers happened. 5 turnovers, and then Illinois capitalized on those 5 turnovers. They ended up beating them by 26. The game was a point difference until Illinois ran away with it after those 5 turnovers. kick yourselves in the foot. You're not going to win many ball games with 5 turnovers. So Duke had 5 turnovers, 4 for 10 on third down. Didn't do as good on third down this go-around, but that's okay. And I think 6 penalties for 69 yards really didn't do the trick either. 6 penalties for 69 yards and 5 turnovers. That's really going to kill you. And I think that's going to hurt you, and it's going to cause you to lose and slip and lose a ball game. So I think Duke cost themselves in a lot more ways than none. So I think Illinois did play good. I'm not saying that, but I think Duke, and the game could have been a lot closer if Duke wouldn't have had 5 turnovers and 6 penalties for 69 yards. I really do. I think Duke could have been a lot closer ball game with Illinois to the very end if those 5 turnovers wouldn't have happened. But guess what? There's a thing out there, and it's called should've, woulda, could've, right? Shoulda, woulda, could've. And literally, this is a shoulda, woulda, could've moment for Duke. We would have done this if, well, shoulda, woulda, could've. You know, we would have had them. You know, we would have had that touchdown if we would have turned that ball over. We did turn the ball over. Shoulda, woulda, could've. It's really that. That's really about it. Shoulda, woulda, could've. And that's pretty much all I really have. I mean, coming up next for Duke, they have a huge game on Saturday. And the thing is, they cannot afford to drop this one. Huge game against Tulane. Duke at Tulane, 8 Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, Saturday night. Duke at Tulane. Very underrated game if you want to tune into that one. Jake Retzlaff from Tulane. Darian Mensah going back to New Orleans to play his former team. And it's going to be a barn burner, I believe. Duke and Tulane. Interesting game there. And we're going to see who wins that ball game. Going to be pretty, I think it's going to be an underrated game of the day here in Week 3. Week 3's got a lot of good contests. Duke and Tulane is not a Pigskin Frenzy game, but we'll be keeping an eye on that one because that sounds like a very interesting ball game turning out up down in New Orleans. So Duke at Tulane. Illinois, this Saturday, they play Western Michigan. The Broncos at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Central this Saturday night in Champaign. So let's rock and roll. Let's get ready to go. Illinois beats Duke 45-19, and going to be interesting to see where those two teams go from there after this ball game. Was going to be a close ball game, but ended up being a blowout after Duke just kind of shot themselves in the foot in a lot of ways. So 45-19 was the final score. Illinois defeats Duke. So 2 more ball games, and we'll kind of give our thoughts to wrap up here a little bit, but 2 more ball games. Let's talk about one good game that I got right. The last game that I got right because I was 3-1 in my Pigskin Frenzy Week 2 picks. Shout out to me, guys. I mean, come on. Let's shout me out on that one. Let's talk about this one. Let's talk about the Border Showdown. Kansas at Missouri. I picked Missouri to win this ball game. Started off very slow. Missouri did. It was 21-6. And then Missouri kind of got back in it. And I was right. Final score of this game was 42-31. Missouri 42. Kansas 31. Missouri gets the win in the Border Showdown rivalry. Missouri, looks good on offense, man. They look good, especially running the football. Ahmad Hardy, Jamal Roberts are names to remember. And I said, watch out for Ahmad Hardy. And guess what? He's already making an impact in the first 2 weeks of the college football season. Ahmad Hardy, my friends, had 100 yards on the ground once again. 112 yards on the ground. 100-plus yards on the ground once again. 25 carries, 112 yards. A touchdown. He averaged 4.5 yards per play. Let's talk about the other back named Jamal Roberts. 13 carries, 143 yards, 11 yards per average and per rush with a 1 touchdown. Bo Pribula, he had 6 yards on the ground, but he has a cannon. He threw the ball this go-round. 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, 30 for 39. Bo Pribula had himself a day. This offense is pretty solid. And I'm going to give you a quick stat here. I should have had this on me, but I'm getting my notes ready for bedtime. This is from Bedtime College Football Talk because I talked about it during that. The number is 1,155 yards of total offense. That's 2 weeks worth of total yards on offense for Mizzou. 1,155 total yards in the past 2 weeks from Mizzou, from Central Arkansas to Kansas. Mizzou's offense is cooking. That's probably the most in the SEC. I think Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered, shout out to him. He posted, so far, who are the best teams in the SEC so far in your opinions? I said defensively, I said LSU, because LSU on defense looks solid. Offense, I said Missouri. I think Missouri is a really, really good team on offense. They look hot on offense, man. Running the football, throwing the football with Bo Pribula. He's been really, really good throwing the ball, and he can also run the football. They're dangerous, dude. Kevin Coleman at receiver is an absolute dog. Drinkwitz has got this team ready to play. Missouri, they're about to become the sleeper of the SEC if they keep playing the way they're playing. And they could sneak in to the college football playoff. The way they're playing, they look like they're ready to make a playoff run. And I'm not joking. Early on, I'm saying that in September, the wheels could obviously fall off. We know that. The wheels could fall off. It happens. But right now, I'm riding on the Missouri train, dude. Mizzou looks good, and they look entertaining to watch. They look fun to watch. Watch out for Mizzou. They look good. Defensively, yeah, they can play better on defense, but guess what? That Kansas offense is also pretty dynamic and good when they're healthy, and Kansas looks good when healthy as well. Missouri's 25 of the nation, and they deserve to be ranked because of the way their offense moves and the way they gel up front as well. They look good. They look good up front. They look good on the receiving core. Kevin Coleman Jr., 126 yards, 2 receptions, 1 touchdown, 12 yards per reception on average. Insane. Brett Norfleet, their tight end. I mean, look, dude, Brett Norfleet, their tight end, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 receptions. Solid tight end for this team. Here, and that's literally it. 595 total yards of offense. That's a big circle moment for their offense. 6.9 yards per play. Big circle moment. Third down efficiency, they were solid on third down. Another big positive circle moment. The only really negative, I would say, is 7 penalties for 70 yards. That's the negative circle moment for this team, is 7 penalties for 70 yards. And I think if they get that cleaned up, Mizzou's going to be fine. And they're going to be a train, man. They look good on defense. They only held Kansas to 3 rushing yards. Their rushing defense was stout in this ball game. 3 rushing yards. That's it. Yes, Kansas had 223 passing yards. They had 3 for 11 on third down efficiency. Not the best for Kansas. And then Kansas had 226 total yards. Missouri's defense played good. Stat-wise, Missouri dominated them, but Kansas got hot early. Mizzou's a good football team, man. Watch out for them. The Border Showdown was very entertaining to watch, and Mizzou ran away with it and got the win. Final score, 42-31. Missouri, they're a ball team, man. Watch out for them. This coming up Saturday at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. They have the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana coming in Como on Saturday before playing in Week 4, a showdown with South Carolina at home. So, final score, Missouri, 42, Kansas 31. Let's talk about Kansas really quick before we move on. Kansas just ran into a better team, and I think that's the problem with a game like this and a magnitude like this. Everyone's going to sit there and say, oh, man, Kansas, man, they're not that good, great. No, I think they're good. They just ran into a better team than advertised. A lot of people are going to sit there and think that Mizzou, coming off of a Central Arkansas, what are they going to do against a two-win team like Kansas? Well, Mizzou showed us what they can do. Kansas, despite only having 3 rushing yards, negative circle moment, 3 for 11 on third down, kind of a negative circle moment on there. What are they going to do? They had Jalen Daniels, and Jalen Daniels made some things happen. 223 passing yards, to me, is a positive circle moment. 226 total yards. Yeah, it's not the best compared to their 595 total yards at Mizzou, but it's still a positive circle moment for me, and I'll tell you why, because they did their absolute best in scoring. And Kansas had some good plays, some good key moments in trying to win the ball game. They kept it close up until later in the fourth quarter. They kept it close. They really did. They tried, and I think That is what we applaud the Kansas Jayhawks still. And here, that's what we applaud for them for. I think Kansas, honestly, man, is still a team to just take precaution on in the Big 12. Coming up on Saturday, I believe they do not. They have a bye week on Saturday. So good. They're going to a bye week on Saturday. They return in week 4, and they play West Virginia, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central at home. So that could be a good comeback, bounce back performance for them against the West Virginia that came off of a loss to Ohio. So we'll see there what happens there. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about Kansas too much. I think Kansas is still a threat in the Big 12 because when healthy, they look solid and they gel on offense. Jalen Daniels, solid player. He had 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, 18 for 30, an interception. Jalen Daniels also had a rushing touchdown, 17 yards, 10 carries on there as well. Hanika had 74 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6 receptions. I think that up front, they need to play better up front. They need to find a way to run the ball a lot better. Yes, but I believe they can do that. I think what happened, to sum it up for Kansas in this game, is they are a good team. Missouri is a better team, and I think that is what the case was in this football game. In the Border Showdown this year, Mizzou's a better team than advertised, and Mizzou is better than Kansas. And I think that's what happened. Kansas is not a bad team, and I think Kansas has a shot at showing out against West Virginia and others this season. So watch out for the Jayhawks. They still got a lot left of the tank. Obviously, it's not over. Obviously, it's week 2. So let's see what happens in the Big 12. Kansas 2-1. They just ran into a better team than advertised. Final score is 42-31. Mizzou beats Kansas in the Border Showdown, and I'm 3-1 in my picks so far. So good game there. I really favored this game more than others. I think this game was a very highly entertaining Border Showdown. Como was rocking up in Missouri, and they were balling out. So Missouri 42, Kansas 31 was the final score. Missouri gets the win. 3-1 in my overall picks for Pigskin Frenzy. Let's go to our last recap of week 2 and our last game before we wrap up everything. We have our sad violin moment for this episode, and we're gonna all just unpack everything heading into Thursday's episode. Guest picker, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. We're going to talk about our games and reveal our week 3 games before we wrap up as well. South Florida at Florida. Let's take a breath. I said to Jackson Groff on Thursday, shout out to him again. I said to him on Thursday that Florida was going to win. South Florida was going to cover. But if South Florida wins, imagine that. And imagine what would happen. This game was back and forth until the until the very end. Like back and forth. I thought it wasn't going to be. I thought Florida was going to go into the fourth quarter. South Florida was going to be close, and then Florida was just going to run away with it in the fourth. Shame on me, right? I mean, you just never know what's going to happen in college football. Final score, South Florida 18, Florida 16. Shall I repeat it again? South Florida 18, Florida 16. Final score. A 2-point win for South Florida and Alex Golesh. They marched down the field and kicked the game-winning field goal in Gainesville. I mean, what are you going to do, right? I mean, they kicked the game-winning field goal and beat Florida in the swamp. South Florida is now ranked at number 18 in the nation. Shame on the AP poll for ranking them number 18. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. We're going to get to Florida. We're going to get to the sad violin moment because the sad violin moment is the Florida Gators, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. South Florida, what a bunch of dogs. Byron Brown is an absolute savage running the football. 263 yards, 1 touchdown, 23 for 36. And passing, 17 carries, 66 yards. Their running back, Alvin Isaac, 5 carries, 36 yards, 7.2 yards per rush. Keyshawn Singleton, 75 yards, 2 receptions, that big touchdown, 37.5 yards per reception. But guess what? That defense was absolutely menacing. Todd Orlando is the saving grace of the South Florida Bulls because that defense is physical. They're big. They're all over the field, and they really got key stops when they needed to. DJ Lagway threw a pick. They got to DJ Lagway. I mean, look, they outgained him in a lot. Got a turnover. Did they lose a time of possession battle? Yes. They were 6 for 16 on third down efficiency. 6 yards per play. You get 263 yards passing, 391 total yards compared to Florida's 355. All positive circle moments for South Florida. The positive circle moment is that defense. Slowing down DJ Lagway, slowing down the run game. Yes, they had 133 yards compared to South Florida's 128 rushing yards, but Jaden Baugh didn't become a factor in this ball game late at all. And he usually does start cooking up late. Jaden Baugh does. But guess what? They slowed him down. South Florida's defense slowed him down. They out-physicaled them on the line of scrimmage. I said that was a key to victory this past Thursday. I said Thursday that it was a key to victory for South Florida to out-physical them on the line of scrimmage. And they did that. They did. Florida had no answers for South Florida's defense. They didn't. South Florida was getting key stop after key stop, and they ended up going down the field and winning the game with a little help from Florida because Florida had some penalties, and we're going to talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about South Florida's overall. 18th is a crime. That's a crime, okay? And I will tell you why it's a crime being committed. The AP poll is going to sit there and vote them 18th. I would have put them at 11th or at least 10. I would at least put them right outside the top 10 or in the top 10. They're the only team with multiple ranked wins so far this season, with 2 ranked wins. The only team is South Florida. They beat Boise, and not only beat Boise, they blew Boise State out. Then they go on the road to Gainesville and beat them with a game-winning field goal, and they're 18th. They're 18th. The AP poll's busted. Let me tell you why it's busted. Alabama lost to an unranked Florida State team. They did. And Florida State dominated them, out-physicaled them. Mississippi State upset a top 15 team. Arizona State, I believe, is out of the rankings, and Mississippi State's not in the rankings, which they should be, because, I mean, look, they upset a top 15 team. Arizona State's not in it. They get in the honorable mentions, they get more than State does, right? Florida gets more than State does, which is crazy. And I know it's all team and all that. It's just busted. The whole thing's busted. I'm going on a rant about the AP poll now, but Alabama, they get 2 spots. Why do they get 2 spots? Because they blew out Louisiana Monroe. Okay, yeah, they put up 70-plus points against Louisiana Monroe. Everybody was doing that all day. It's hard for me to believe that South Florida is ranked where they are, and then South Carolina's 11th. Vanderbilt's 2-0. I think Vanderbilt should be ranked, and I'll tell you why, because South Carolina didn't play Virginia Tech as good as Vanderbilt did. I think that, to me, there's a lot wrong with the AP voting, and I cannot wait until the Frenzy playoff rankings start, and I cannot wait until the CFP rankings come up. Honestly, I think they got some things right. They got some things wrong, and they need to clean up. I think the 18th ranking, to me, they should be ahead and further than 18th. I think they should be at least 11 or 10, because South Florida's earned it. Remember what I said back in June, that South Florida was 8th in our conference standing projections for the group of 5 to be a representative in the college football playoff. I said they were a sleeper and they could wake up. And guess what? I was right. They woke up, and they have woken up early. Their schedule, because they have a tough game Saturday, they have the U on Saturday in Miami. If they go on the road and upset Miami and they're 3-0, they're a top 10 team. And not only are they a top 10 team, let me go on and tell you this. They have a good shot at representing the American Conference and being the highest ranked group of 5 team in the college football playoff. And I'm not joking, because their schedule after Miami is very favorable. Miami in South Florida is not a Pigskin Frenzy coverage game. I probably should have made it a Pigskin Frenzy coverage game for week 3, but it's not. Unfortunately, I'm sorry about that, but it's not. I'm going to keep an eye on that game, though. Top 25 matchup in Hard Rock Stadium. We're ready for it. We are so ready for it. South Florida at Miami. South Florida is a solid team, man. Byron Brown's cooking early. Todd Orlando's got that defense rolling. They had that defense rolling against Florida on Saturday, and DJ Lagway just didn't have any answers for that defense. They're getting key stop after key stop. Circle moment was that defense. Byron Brown running the ball like a deer, getting crucial first downs on that game-winning drive and kicking a field goal to win the game. South Florida is a team that can literally scare people. And Miami is on upset alert Saturday. I'm not joking. I'm going to put that stamp on right now. Miami, do I favor them? Yes, I do. Because I think Miami's a really good team so far. They're 2-0. But I think that Miami is on upset alert if they do not pay attention and do not take South Florida serious. Final score of this game was 18-16. South Florida upsets and beats Florida. I got that game wrong. South Florida's a threat, man. They are a threat. Coming up Saturday, they have Miami. They have Miami, man. This Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central. South Florida at Miami this Saturday. Big-time contest. Not a Pigskin Frenzy game, but I'm going to keep an eye on it for this weekend. I cannot wait to see what this game cooks up because it could be chaos, and it could be chaos quick if Miami does not come to play. Warning to the U and Mario Cristobal. Come prepared. Don't care if it's a home game. Doesn't matter. If South Florida does win this ball game this Saturday, imagine Tampa, Florida. Imagine USF. They could be the state of Florida champions this year, and it would be chaotic. USF finding a way to get things done. If they win, this would be a third straight ranked win. Third straight ranked win, most by pretty much everybody in college football so far. The American Conference, the group of five, taking things by storm, and South Florida taking things by storm. Who knew, man? Final score 18-16. South Florida looking really good on defense and looking really good with Byron Brown at quarterback. Dangerous team. Watch out for Miami this weekend. South Florida gets the win in Gainesville. Let's talk about Florida, and we'll wrap up. Let's talk about Florida. Should I just go ahead and do it? I mean, should I just go ahead and just do it? They are this week's twos Sad Violin moment. They are this week's Sad Violin moment, and I had to play it. I had to play it because of what happened in Gainesville. Let's talk about it. Had to play the Sad Violin there. Sure, they had 133 yards. They did. Jaden Baugh, 93 yards, 18 carries, 5.2 yards per rush. DJ Lagway, a touchdown, 23 for 33, 222 yards. Yeah, sure. They did. Absolutely. I'm not saying anything. They did, right? Here's the thing. Eugene Wilson, 60 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 receptions. Burrell Brown, third, 5 receptions, 56 yards. Vernell Brown, these guys have a shot at being really, really good for this offense. But here's the thing. The offense still looked lethargic. They looked lethargic. They play with an attitude of, why are we playing today? They had that attitude. J.D. Pikel, shout out to him from On 3 Sports, the hard count with On 3 Sports. He said they looked like they were obligated to play a game that day. And he's right, because they did. They felt like they were really obligated to play. I'm just going to sit here and say this. We are back to square one with Florida after this loss. Back to square one. He does not have winning records against Florida State and LSU in big-time rivalry games. His record against a group of unranked teams is not really all that impressive either. We're back to square one with Billy Napier. And I hate that. I'm not going to sit there and say, look, he deserves. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything bad, or I'm not that guy. I hate it for Billy Napier. He's under an insane amount of pressure. The thing that sucks about this is the schedule does not get any better for Florida. They looked very lethargic in this game. Their offense was not on point. And with a quarterback like DJ Lagway, who's got all the talent in the world, their offense needs to be in sync. Russ Callaway not calling all the plays. Billy Napier is the primary play caller. Everyone has told him to give up play calling duties. They've told him. They said it over and over again. Give up the play calling duties for the offense. And he has not done that. Russ Callaway is the co-tight ends coach. He is the offensive coordinator for this team. He calls some plays, but not all the plays. Majority of the plays runs through Billy Napier. And it showed this past Saturday because it did not look great. Yeah, it looked great against LIU, but that's LIU. South Florida's a good team. Didn't look good. But here's the thing. This week, they got LSU in Death Valley, a team that they beat last year, and they got hot last year against, sure. But they're catching LSU early, and LSU's defense is a lot better this year. A lot better. At home, Saturday night in Death Valley, raucous crowd. They are a 9.5 point going on. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes up. 10-point underdogs against LSU going into Death Valley this Saturday night. They need to figure it out because on offense, they look sluggish. On defense, they looked a little bit lethargic late. And I will say this, discipline-wise, they weren't very disciplined in this ball game either. 4 for 12 on third down, not the best. They had 11 penalties for 103 yards. 11 penalties for 103 yards. That's a lot. And when South Florida's trying to go on a game-winning drive, you have an unsportsmanlike conduct for pulling a Jalen Carter with the Eagles and the Cowboys game by spitting on a player. Like, that's rough. Unsportsmanlike conduct on a game-winning drive. It reminds me a little bit of the shoe game when Marco Wilson threw the shoe against LSU, and it caused LSU to go down the field, kick a game-winning field goal in 2020, and Florida gets upset. In their SEC championship appearance year with Kyle Trask, LSU upset Florida in the swamp by, a shoe throw from Marco Wilson back 5 years ago. This reminded me of that. Defensive lineman spits in another player's face. They get a 15-yard penalty. After that, they kick a game-winning field goal, and South Florida beats Florida. It reminded me of the LSU game in 2020 in the COVID year 5 years ago. That's what it reminded me of. Unbelievable. The discipline wasn't there. They felt obligated to play. They looked slow. A lot of penalties caused them to have, take back touchdowns. Just a bunch of stuff happened. Coaching wasn't on point. Nothing was on point for Florida. They have to get it cleaned up by the time Saturday rolls around. I'm just saying. Sad violin moment goes to Florida this week. Big game on Saturday. They're 1-1. They're out of the rankings, and rightfully so because they don't need to be in the rankings. The schedule gets tough. They have at LSU, at Miami. Bye week, they roll into Texas after Miami. So they go back home, at LSU, at Miami, bye week, at home against Texas, and then at Texas A&M. And then they play a team in Mississippi State that upset Arizona State, a top 15 team, or previously top 15 team, this past week. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. That's a hard schedule, and if they keep playing the way they're playing, that seat's going to warm up really quick for Billy Napier. And I hate saying that because I like Billy Napier. I really do. But they have to coach better. You may want to delegate some of your play calling duties to Russ Callaway and see if they can dial it up some more. And play with more of an energy. Play with some passion. Because Florida did not have that passion this past Saturday against South Florida. They just did not. Cook something because you're going to need it coming up on Saturday. Final score was South Florida 18, Florida 16. The sad violin moment for week 2 was the Florida Gators. Hate saying it, but it was. That's the only game that I got wrong for week 2. Let's cook, man. I'm so fired up for Pigskin Frenzy, guys. That is our week 2 recap. That was our week 2 sad violin moment, and we're out of time. But a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. For watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram's at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow and like the pages on there. The website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Guys, we are so thankful for everybody tuning in and listening to Pigskin Frenzy each and every Tuesday. Stacking, we're climbing, we're ready to rock and roll. Guys, we cannot do this show without the Lord, without our Lord and Savior Jesus, and without the Lord. Without him, we wouldn't be here, and we give all praise to Jesus and glorify the Lord and our Lord and Savior Jesus for giving us this platform across all platforms to glorify him and to praise him and to give us this platform to talk about college football and share our love for the game with y'all. And not only that, share our love with him for y'all through this, and we just cannot be more thankful for him. If you have any questions about our Lord and Savior Jesus, if you want to come to know him, contact me. X and Instagram's at Pigskin_Frenzy. Contact me below, and contact me on the website www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. We give him all the praise. We give Jesus all the praise for being in this, because without him, we would not be where we are today. So thank you again for Jesus, and we're thankful for all of you for tuning in each and every week. Big shout out to each and every one of you and our listeners for tuning in and listening to this show each and every week. Big week this week. We're not just doing one episode. We're not just doing 2 episodes. We're doing 3 episodes. 3 episodes on tap this week, and we're so excited. Coming up on Thursday, we have our Week 3 preview and prediction show, and we also have a very special guest picker for Week 3. Week 3 guest picker is Brad Crawford from CBS Sports and 24/7 Sports, coming up on Thursday. Very special guest picker. Our Pigskin Frenzy Week 3 games are Clemson at Georgia Tech, Florida at LSU. We have Georgia at Tennessee, and we also have Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Those are our Week 3 Pigskin Frenzy games for preview and predictions on Thursday. The games that we are covering this week, once again, Georgia at Tennessee, Florida at LSU. We have Texas A&M at Notre Dame, and we also have Clemson at Georgia Tech. So that's going to be very, very fun this week. Brad Crawford from 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports is our Week 3 guest picker for Thursday. You're not going to want to miss Thursday's edition of Pigskin Frenzy. We also have a very special Friday edition of Pigskin Frenzy, and we normally don't do that, but this week calls for it. Special Friday edition of Pigskin Frenzy. We've never done a Friday episode of Pigskin Frenzy, but we're going to this week before kicking off the Week 3 of college football season. Special Friday edition of the show. That will be episode 256 on Friday with senior writer, college football reporter, and senior college football reporter for On3 Sports, Chris Lowe, joins the show on Friday. You're not going to want to miss Friday's edition of Pigskin Frenzy, special Friday edition of Pigskin Frenzy across all platforms. He's going to talk about his career, who's on upset alert for Week 3, and talk about college football on Friday. On3 Sports senior college football reporter Chris Lowe, formerly of ESPN and now on On3, is here for Pigskin Frenzy coming up on a special Friday edition of the show. Guys, we're trucking along. We're rocking and rolling. Brad Crawford, Week 3 on Thursday. Chris Lowe on a special Friday edition of Pigskin Frenzy. You're not going to want to miss those 2 episodes. And until Thursday, guys, I'm Joel Norris. We're signing off. Let's get ready for Week 3. Ladies and gentlemen, we're praying for you all. We love you all. Until Thursday, Joel Norris signing off. As always, stay the course.